I'm Jason. I'm a BSc User Experience Design graduate from Norwich University of the Arts. I graduated in July 2020 in the midst of this global pandemic that we find ourselves in, but hopefully crawling out of. And at present, I work at National Grid in the energy sector, a company that an arts graduate may not really have thought to go to. However, I have always been interested in the energy sector, and they just have fantastic opportunities here for IT graduates. And the opportunities here at National Grid for IT graduates are really growing. Each year we're recruiting more and more IT graduates, so definitely a great way to get into the energy sector or just into the IT industry if you want to go down that route.
So National Grid's offices are in Warwick, or just on the edge of Warwick rather, literally on a road between Warwick and Leamington Spa. And so I chose to live in Leamington Spa, which is a really nice spa town, very close to Warwick and the National Grid offices. Plenty of beautiful gardens and buildings and sights to see in Leamington. It's just a really pretty town with a lovely vibe to it.
So I should just talk about what the graduate scheme actually entails. It's an 18-month scheme in which you do 3 6-month placements. Usually these are in different parts of the business. So for example, you could come in as an HR graduate, do 6 months of that, and then for the next 6 months you may be working in, say, electricity transmission or something like that if you wanted to. Up to you really, but the good thing about that is that you get to see different parts of the business and explore. You might find something that you like that you didn't even know about, which is one of the great things about a graduate scheme. And one thing I should say is that the graduate scheme is not like some university or college course where you do 18 months and then that's it, booted out, got to find something else to do with your life. It's not like that at all. The idea is that by the end of the 18 months you've had all the training, you've kind of matured as an individual, you've learned about different parts of the business, you're therefore very employable to National Grid, and you stay here. A great example of somebody who did the graduate scheme at National Grid and is still here is our CEO, John Pettigrew. Did the graduate scheme in the early 90s and is now the CEO.
So one thing I love about my job at National Grid is that it's just so varied and interesting, and that keeps it all really exciting and engaging for me. So I'm a user experience designer, so what I do is I create software based on research, so a lot of my job involves going and getting that research. So it usually starts with conducting formative research, where we just ask people what they do and how they do it and how the existing software isn't working for them. And then what we do is create the software. So we use a design toolkit to do that, where we have all of our assets and our elements and our brand identities in one document, which we can then create interfaces out of. We then go and put those interfaces in front of people, whether that's actually in person or over Microsoft Teams at the moment, and we just ask them what they think about it really, and they come back and say whether they like it or not, or how difficult it is for them to use, and that gives us an idea of how successful this software is. That's what user experience design really is at its core. It's putting the user at the center of the design process, which is what we do. So we spend a lot of time doing that in order to produce quality software. So one of the examples that I can show you is the Connect Now piece of software, which is a web app that National Grid has developed, which allows users who have private projects to connect to the National Grid and then get electricity for their projects up to 400 megawatts of power, which is like the size of a medium-sized power station. So that's a really helpful tool for people to use who need that. I also have done quite a lot of accessibility work on this software, so I've actually designed a lot of big diagrams showing exactly how somebody with sight impairment might use this with a screen reader, which is really interesting to me and beneficial because in my final year of university I dedicated it all to learning about accessibility and making software for the visually impaired. I then take this research, this data, I put it into charts and graphs, which I then present back to my line managers in meetings. Usually I put the charts and graphs in a Microsoft PowerPoint document, present it back over a Microsoft Teams meeting, and yes, there are quite a few meetings throughout the day. Some of them, well, most of them business orientated, of course, where we discuss the direction that the business needs to go, and we discuss all my tasks, but it's all objective based anyway, so I know what my tasks are for the next sort of year and a half. And some of them are just sort of more chit chat meetings where we're just catching up, which is nice to do in this time. I do a lot of other things on the side as well, such as create the Office 365 SharePoint site for the IT graduates here at National Grid, which is really interesting. It's just something a little bit different to do. We have a lot of these sort of side projects that graduates can do, and this SharePoint site just monitors the progress of those really, and it shows who's ahead, who's behind, and who needs to do what, which is really helpful. And we also have done a lot of presentations and research tasks on other bits of the business, such as researching data catalog software, which National Grid could use if they wanted to. Now, data is not specifically my remit, but that's another part of the business that I've had the opportunity to explore. And most interestingly, during our business orientation week, which we do when we begin, I worked with a group of graduates to create a presentation about having a zero carbon electricity network by 2025, which definitely isn't in my job description, but it's one of the opportunities that you can have here at National Grid or at a company similar, where you get to explore different parts of the business. And that was really interesting, working with people in the electricity system operator who were able to tell us all about how that works, and then we presented it back to them in a big Microsoft Teams meeting. So my day is extremely varied, as you can tell. One day I could be doing usability testing, the next I could be presenting some sort of big presentation. It's just really, really varied, which is what I like. And the energy sector is just like that, really. There's a lot of different roles involved for you.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this video up now. We're walking down Leamington's Parade, all the Christmas lights are out, it looks really pretty. Hopefully that's given you a good insight as to what working in the energy sector is like and the different opportunities there. It's not all about managing power systems and things like that. There's a lot of other stuff involved in keeping Britain's lights on, and I'm really pleased to be a part of that right now. I feel like I have a very worthwhile job in a great setting, so definitely explore it when the time comes for you, and you won't regret it. Good luck with everything you do, exams wise and life wise, and we hope to see you very soon.